Welcome to Atlanta, jacking hammers and bows. Back to the mackin' and jacking the clothes. Adolescents packing the foes. A knock on the door. Who is it? I would happen to know, the one with the flow. Who did it? It was me, I suppose.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another video here on the Atlanta channel. I'm Blake News. I'm here to give you my 8 projections and hopefuls. Kind of different topics, but I'm going to give you my projections on the Atlanta Falcons 2019-2020 season. Let's jump right into it. So starting off with number 1, I have the best draft pick that we had. There's going to be a sleeper this year. I know in the first round we drafted 2 offensive linemen. I think they're not going to be our best draft picks, especially because, our offensive line is, I'll be honest, terrible in preseason. They're still really young. Some the free agents haven't really bonded together yet, like James Carpenter, Jamon Brown. They haven't really come together yet. I hope I got their names right. And that's not really how I'm going with my sleeper pick. My sleeper pick that we drafted in the 2019 NFL draft is going to be Quadri Allison, the running back out of Pittsburgh. The reason being, Ito Smith, he's moved up to the second overall position for our running back behind Devontae Freeman, as Tevin Coleman has left to the San Francisco 49ers. He did a great job with us over the years. I want to thank him for that, and he stepped up in the role last year with Devontae Freeman's injury. So I hope that Quadri Allison can kind of fill that role that Ito Smith was. Ito Smith has now moved up into Tevin Coleman's former role. So that's the reason why I think our running back core is getting younger. That's kind of what we need to keep talent moving in and out. I hope that it kind of works out, because Quadri Allison, I don't really know him that much yet as a player. I haven't seen him in person. Of course, in Madden, he looks like a power back. So maybe that will kind of help us with Devontae Freeman's, of course, going to be our number 1. Ito Smith's more the speedy guy. He can help out when Devontae Freeman needs some reps that aren't on the field. And then Quadri Allison can kind of come in and use that third and short, kind of like the fullback type, and not still kind of the running back at the same time. Anyway, that's my sleeper pick. Moving on to our best free agent signing. All right, now moving on to our best free agent signing. I'm going to say, and as I say, it's going to sound a little cheesy, as we already had him, cut him, he's come back. It's going to be Matt Bryant. I don't know why I said Mark there, but it's going to be Matt Bryant. The reason being, kind of a quiet offseason for the Atlanta Falcons. They were able to sign a little bit of offensive linemen, just kind of boost that depth. That hasn't really worked out. It's worked out so far, but that's our best free agent signing. The reason being, our kicking game has been terrible this preseason. I will say that I was really one of the only true Atlanta fans that realized once they cut Matt Bryant, that's going to be a bad decision. Partially because I know he's getting older. I know he's not really, he still shows that he's got it, but you never know how long it's going to be before he kind of falls off the map. The reason being, when we signed Giorgio Tavecchio, the lefty Italian kicker we had in the preseason, full-time after we signed him when Matt Bryant was hurt last year, I said, that's not going to be a good decision as soon as Matt Bryant was cut. He didn't look that good in the first few preseason games. I'm like, might have not been the best decision there, Falcons. And then as soon as the Falcons fans, and especially the front office, Thomas Dimitroff and Dan Quinn kind of panicked, they signed Blair Walsh. And in his first day of training camp and practices, he missed 4 out of his 9 field goal kicks. Falcons fans and the front office were just kind of panicking at this point. Decided to bring in Matt Bryant for a workout about 2 or 3 days before the 53-man cut. I saw it coming. I saw it coming the whole way. As I said a minute ago, when Matt Bryant was hurt and cut later that year, I said that he'll be back. He will be back. I didn't believe in Tavecchio. He looked okay last year, had his stints of it, but as soon as 92.9, the flagship of Atlanta, started tweeting out a bunch of things about Tavecchio, dictated the fan, the Braves flagship, started tweeting out things about Tavecchio online, and, there's so much coverage out there that said, Matt Bryant's going to come back. Sure enough, he did. Anyway, because it was a quiet offseason, that's my best free agent signing of the 2019 season for the Falcons. Moving on to the head coaching changes and why I think they're important. So far, head coaching changes. Y'all have seen it probably in the Turning the Page Atlanta Falcons video that they have on the channel, and just from all the news around Falcons country, is that Dan Quinn is now our full-time defensive coordinator and our head coach. Dirk Cutter, the former Tampa Bay head coach, has come back, so I think in his second stint with the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, I wanted to say it was his third stint, but I know it's his second with the Atlanta Falcons as the offensive coordinator. And Mike Mularkey, from former tight ends coach former head coach of the Tennessee Titans. I'm getting all my words a lot, guys. I'm sorry for this video. It's terrible. Mike Mularkey, the tight ends coach of the Atlanta Falcons, is the former Tennessee Titans head coach. The reason I say that's really important, and part of the reason why people kind of give Matt Ryan hate, is that he's not clutch. Well, people say he's clutch sometimes, but part of the reason he's not really fluent 100% every year is that he has to break in a new offensive system every 2 years, it seems like. You've seen it. Steve Sarkisian, 2 years didn't really work out. First year with Kyle Shanahan, he was only here for 2 years. First year didn't really work out after midway through the year started going downhill. Second year, it worked great. Went on to the Super Bowl. And it just shows that he went on to become a head coach of the 49ers. Steve Sarkisian got fired. He's now the OC. I think there's some part of the offensive system with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Matt Ryan has to break in a new system, it seems like, every 2 or 3 years. And it takes a year sometimes for a quarterback to, get adjusted, especially with the roster changes in between the shifting of offensive coordinators. So I know he didn't really look the best at Tampa Bay. He wasn't really the answer. I don't like him because we played him twice a year. But the hiring I'm okay with. Matt Ryan's, I think he did pretty well under the system, and I hope that he continues that. I just hope that he stays here for at least a few years because I don't think anyone's going to give him a head coaching job for a few years at least. So I hope he stays with us if it works out because Matt Ryan, I think that he's getting older. He's getting tired of having to break a new offensive coordinator every 2 years. Now for the reason why Mike Mularkey will be a good fit, Austin Hooper, he's definitely our number 1 tight end. He's been great because he was our number 3 for a year under Jacob Tamme and Levine Toilolo in our Super Bowl run. Toilolo got cut, Tamme got hurt, so Hooper ended up stepping up out of Stanford. He's been our number 1 guy. He's been great, and it just seems like we haven't really had the best options out other than him throughout the seasons is because Logan Paulson, what's he done? He hasn't really looked great. Eric Saubert, who I met a few years ago at a camp, hasn't been great. I think we traded him a few days ago to the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. So, hasn't shown the greatest out there. So, Austin Hooper has really been our man. So, Mike Mularkey really needs to find some talent throughout the roster and just scout to find another tight end for him to help out Hooper, because Hooper's not going to be able to carry it forever by himself for however long we keep him. So, I hope he's able to kind of scout another tight end for us to draft here in the future, because I don't think one good tight end is not really going to cut it, and the way offense is really rolled in the NFL these days. So now we're going to move on and see how our season's going to start. So for our season, a little bit of rough patches here and there throughout the schedule, as I've seen it 5 or 6 times now, but the beginning of the year I think we can definitely capitalize. First week against Kirk Cousins' Minnesota Vikings, I think that'll be an interesting matchup. The Falcons haven't played in that new Minnesota stadium yet, and US Bank Stadium, probably the second best stadium in the NFL. And compared to the Benz, but maybe the Cowboys, Jerry World still might top us. I don't know. Whatever your opinion is. I don't really personally care. Anyways, as I was saying, with the Falcons don't really have the best luck up in the northern part of the country the last years. You've seen every time we go to play in Green Bay, we struggle. Every time we go to Minnesota, we struggle. Every time we go to Philadelphia, we struggle. Every time we play in New England, which is not that much, but when we went up there a few years ago, we struggled. I don't know what that is. I guess they're not used to the climate or something. But now there's an indoor stadium in Minneapolis. I think that will definitely help out. Kirk Cousins hasn't really shown that he's gotten down the Minnesota system yet. It's year 2. You never know. Something might have changed. But I don't really think he's as good as people say he is. I don't think the Falcons are able to capitalize week 1. Now for week 2 against the Philadelphia Eagles, not as sure as that one, as they have really knocked us off, I think, 3 straight years now. And the regular season and playoffs included. They've beaten us 3 straight times. We barely beat them, I think, in 15 on opening night. We were up by 17.5. They almost came back, and that pick by, I can't remember who it was. We had a pick on their final drive, which clinched it, which saved our butts for the game, and we won it. So we really had some problems against Philadelphia in the past. I think the last time we won with Michael Vick was the quarterback. I don't want to get into that conversation, but that was the last time he was the quarterback. I think it was for the Eagles. It was like 2012 when we went on to the NFC Championship against the 49ers. That's the last time we won against the Eagles up in Philly. This year we have them in the Benz. The first time they're coming to us inside the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But Sunday night, week 2, I think the Falcons. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I hope the Falcons win. I don't personally see it, so I guess for the video's sake, so I don't sound like a complete homer, I'm gonna count it as out. So the Falcons will be starting off 1-1, at least in my opinion. I hope it's 2-0. I'm not saying it's not going to be 2-0, or it is going to be 2-0. But I guess, just for the video's sake, I'm going to say it's 1-1. So moving on to week 3, we have the Indianapolis Colts up in Lucas Oil Stadium. Andrew Luck, he retired. I'll personally say I saw that coming. He's had injury prone to the few years. He's never been 100% healthy, I don't think, in his career. Except for his rookie year, he was healthy, but he's been a good quarterback. He's been the franchise of the Colts since Peyton Manning left. I just didn't see him playing into his late 30s or 40s. It just didn't seem like it was going to work out. He was always somewhat injured. He could never stay healthy. I felt bad for him, but when I was watching the Florida-Miami game 2 weeks ago and the Andrew Luck retirement notifications came out, I was like, that's a shame. Even though I saw it coming, I'll take it for the Falcons' sake, but it's sad. I saw it coming, and I think the Falcons are able to capitalize week 3 against the Indianapolis Colts. Because Jacoby Brissett will most likely end up being the starting quarterback unless something happens tragically mysteriously where they trade or sign somebody, and between that time, depending on how Jacoby Brissett looks for week 1 and 2, but I think that the Falcons should get that one done, and that should be 2-1. Week 4, the Tennessee Titans game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I think this game should be a little more interesting than people see. The Titans have made some pretty interesting news this offseason, or not completely, countrywide news, but I think they're going to be an okay team, especially for how their division has been the last few years. I think the Texans are going to be powerful in that division if they can stay like they were. They lost to Leon Clowney. That should be rough. If J.J. Watt doesn't have another injury-prone year, they should be okay. But the Colts, they've lost Andrew Luck, and the Jaguars will be another interesting team to see. I'll get that one later in the video. But I think the Falcons do pull it out late against the Tennessee Titans to prove on 3-1. So that's all I'm going to say for the early part of the year. Is now I'm going to jump into our head-to-head matchups against the division. So for the divisional matchups, I say we win at least 3 of the 6 games. The reason being, the Buccaneers, they're having a whole growing woes over and over again, it seems like. I think we win at least 1, if not sweep them. And then moving on to the Panthers, I think we win at least 1, maybe sweep. I'm not absolutely sure on that one. I have a feeling they might get us in one of those games this year, but I think we can at least win 1 against the Panthers. If everything works out, we've at least won 2 or 3 games in the division. The Saints, I'm not absolutely sure of. I hate to say it, but it's their division now. It's not ours anymore. As a Falcons fan, because most of us hate the Saints, but it's not their division anymore, and it's just rough because you saw they finished 7-9, 3 straight years. Sean Payton, their head coach, was on the hot seat 3 straight years, and they kept him all 3 of the seasons. If you realize they would have let go 1 year of him, this team might have not ever shaped out as it is now. They probably would have. Alvin Kamara, probably, you never know, he might have not been drafted. some of their free agent signings they picked up, some of their draft picks that have really developed might not have ever been the same. Sean Payton has just really clicked. Drew Brees is back in the way he was a few years ago. He's got talent around him now, and he has a good quarterback. On a minute, he's probably one of the best in the NFL. Falcons fans hate to admit it, but it's the same division now. Sean Payton, as I said, he's here. Can't do anything about that. The past is in the past. He stayed. I don't know how the Saints go. I hope, I really hope we sweep them. I really hope we can win both games on Thanksgiving and at their house in week 9 or 8, I want to say, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they'll most likely, it's a definite that we lose one of those games. Well, not definite, because you never know in sports. Sports is not definite, but I think it's most likely that we'll lose 1, if not 2, against the Saints. So that's why I say we win at least 3 of the division games, 2 or 3 of them. We could also lose 3 or 4. So I guess the divisional toss-up for head-to-head matchups, we either go 2-4 at the worst-case scenario and 4-2 to 5-1 at the best-case scenario. So moving on to our divisional champion, the NFC South. I hate to say it, I think the Saints do win the division. As I said, I'm a Falcons fan. You can see on me and all the stuff around me. I'm in my Atlanta cave. I think the Saints do win the division. It's sad to say, but I don't see the Falcons really pulling it out, as the Saints have gotten powerful and talented in Drew Brees' late years. Because you don't know how long he's going to be kicking. Same with Tom Brady. They're both in their 40s now. Madden, every franchise you play in, it seems like they retire the first year. That's not really going to happen because, as they say, that both of them said, they want to play until they can't play no more. That means as long as they're talented and they're playing well, they're going to stay playing. So you don't know how long that'll be. We'll have to see. I don't see much regression in them just yet. I mean, it's there, but it's not showing. So that's depending on how long Drew Brees is kicking and how Cam Newton, if he plays better this year. They got a backup from Will Greer, who was at Florida and then transferred to West Virginia. He was from the North Carolina area. So if he stays as their future, if Cam Newton can't really handle himself, I see the Falcons coming in 2nd or 3rd, depending on how the Panthers do. I think we definitely beat the Buccaneers in the division, but depending on how the Falcons and Panthers do head-to-head and how their season is overall, I think that determines 2nd place, and I think the Saints win the division. Moving on to some games I personally want to see this year. I definitely want to see them play 2 games at home this year. I don't think I've been to a game in 2 or 3 years. I used to have some tickets when I was younger with my dad, but when they moved out of the Georgia Dome, prices got higher. I decided just to stop. We weren't personally fans of the Bens as people they thought they'd be. Of course, the stadium's nice and all, but when you go into the stadium and you kind of look deeper into it, there are some flaws in the stadium. That's off topic, but part of the reason why I haven't been to many games lately, or many events in the Bens, really, I think I've been to like 10 or 11 or 12 events. Not really sure, it might even be less than that. But the Dome, they should go to events all the time. So if I were to go to 1 or 2 games this year, the 2 I've really circled on the map is the Tennessee Titans game. Ty, if you're watching this, one of my best friends, not diehard friends, I guess that's a weird term to say, but one of my best friends, I really hope I can take him to his first ever Falcons game this year, and I hope I think that's one of the games that's most realistic for us. I think we're both going to be on school fall break at the time. I think it's the beginning of the break, so we won't be out of town just yet. It's one of the cheaper games on the schedule, and I want to see him wear the black uniforms. I just think they're kind of cool, the red uniforms I like to see him play in, but the black I think is kind of cool as well. I like to see them play in them because they don't wear it as much. And I think that's part of the reasons why. Those are mostly the main reasons I want to see the Tennessee Titans game. Now for the second game, I think it's more of a long shot. The Thanksgiving game against the New Orleans Saints. Yes, it's Thanksgiving. My family's going to be eating. Not sure how that's going to work out. I hope that we can find a way that maybe I and a friend can go, or something can work out where I may be able to go to the Falcons Saints game on Thanksgiving. Mostly because it's the Saints. It's on Thanksgiving. I think I've never seen them play. I haven't seen them play the Saints in a few years. I haven't seen them play the Saints in a night game ever. It's on Thanksgiving. I'll be out of school. Of course I will, but I hope that I'm able to go to those two games. One, the Titans game, so I can take my friend to his first ever Falcons or NFL game ever. And two, the Saints game. Just because it's Thanksgiving, the Saints are going to be in town. It's going to be a huge game. Those are the two games I've circled that I personally want to see. We're moving into our final few topics in the video. The few things I pray that don't happen this year. As you can see my Matt Ryan poster over here. He's getting older. We gotta admit, he's 34. He's getting closer to 35 in the next few months. Or I don't really know, but he's 34, 35. You don't know how long he's going to be kicking. Thankfully for him, he's never really had an injury-prone season. Yes, he's had some beat-up games, or I think he's only been taken out once or twice in his career for playing terrible. One when the Panthers won 15 and 1 in the regular season. We know that game we beat them when Julio Jones passed so quickly. Yeah, that was nice. But that game we played up in Carolina, we were losing terribly. I think the final score was like 38-0. We took out Matt Ryan in that game. Well, that's kind of off. The point I'm trying to make is that Matt Ryan hasn't been injury-prone in his career, but I hope to God that we never have to deal with a problem where he's out for a lot of the year. Is that the Colts, with Andrew Luck, he's been injury-prone part of his career. We've seen that. That's been terrible to see. Jimmy Garoppolo, who had a lot of hype coming into last year, he got injured, I think, in week 1 or 2 of the year. He was gone. Thankfully, the Falcons have never had to deal with that with Matt Bryant. Because who do we have behind him? We have 36 or 37. Matt Schaub and Keith Bankert, who's been hurt. And I think in the Hall of Fame game he got hurt, but he had some promise in him as a reliable backup possibly. But hopefully you'll never have to come to that equation because Matt Ryan hasn't had that in his career, but you never know. We've been lucky to have him for over a decade and never really have an injury problem or consistency problem with him. So I just hope that continues on with this year. That's really the only thing I have to say for that point. So moving on to my final point of the video is that how are we going to finish overall? If you look at our schedule, as I said in the beginning of the video, the beginning of the year, not too rough. I think we can always pull out 3 or 4 wins depending on our consistency. Consistency is key. You've seen that with the Falcons in the Super Bowl. You've seen it in the London game. You've seen it with Mike Smith in his career with all the bad coaching decisions in the final clock management minutes. 28-3 is really what made the Falcons failing, kind of popular and blowing leads. But really, if you're a true Atlanta fan, you've seen it many times. Atlanta's choked. It wasn't before. 28-3 was really what made it famous, but you've seen it many times with just the Falcons, but the Braves, Hawks, and United. Getting back to the point I was making, if the Falcons can make some early season runs and get a few of the wins in the first few weeks of the year, that should set us up pretty well and see if we can keep our heads up through the middle rough patch of the year. Because we have the Saints, and that time here we have the Rams, the Seahawks. It's going to be a rough stretch. We have a lot of divisional games right in there that could really sway how our season's going to play out. So if we can keep our head up from this point through here, we should be in a good shape going into the final stretch. As I think we have the Jaguars in that stretch. I think we have the Buccaneers, if I'm not wrong, later in the year. I think we have them the last week of the year again in Tampa. So if we can keep our head up going into the final game of the year as like a 6-6 team or a 7-5, 8-4, depending on how things going, we can end up having a 9-10 or a 9 or 10 win season. If I hope, of course, I want to see them win 16-0, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And with depending on how the season goes throughout the middle, I think this is just really the key part of the year. They can keep their heads up and have pride in themselves through the middle part of the year and continue on through the end of the year. This team could be a playoff team. If not, I don't really see it. I'm not 100% sure on the playoffs. I say it's about 30% they make it, 70% they don't. Of course, I want them to make it, but just how we've looked over the last year or two towards the end of the year. I know we had injury woes last year, and how our team has looked overall. In the preseason, I don't see it happening as much as that people want it to happen, but looking at our schedule, if we can stay consistent and keep our heads up at the middle of the year, this team could be knocking on the door for the playoffs and have a double-digit win season. You never know. That's just what I see, not as a homer, but just looking at the games we have, consistency, and just the middle patch. If we can win a few games in there, keep our heads up, looking ahead. This team can do some things in this game this year where they can make the playoffs. I don't know how far they go. You never know. But I say this team does have potential to make the playoffs. I've said it 3 times. Consistency, middle patch. They can get through that. They're going. But anyways, I'm Blake Newsome from the Atlanta channel. I really appreciate y'all staying with me if you've made it to the end of the video. I do all types of videos on my channel around Atlanta sports in general. If you like it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the Atlanta Kid, and I'll see you next time. Great town. Peace out. Blake out. Rise up. In brotherhood, we rise. We can do this year, Falcons.